Good evening and welcome to Christie's Cropping and Creating. So today, whenever you're watching, I have an idea. I want to create a scrapbook page from a blog post that it was actually created as a card. So we're going to turn it into a scrapbook page. At some point, I'm probably going to take the same idea and show it three ways. I'm going to take it and turn it into a border and then do the card as it's shown and then also do a scrapbook page. But tonight we're going to work on turning this card into a scrapbook page. We're going to be using Vivid Melodies. It's a great collection and it actually comes in several different color schemes. The one that we're using tonight is the Jazzberry. It's called Vivid Melodies Jazzberry. There's also Capri Blue, Lime Tart, Butterscotch, and then Jazzberry, which kind of raspberry, I guess. So this is what we're going to be using tonight. And oh man, I forgot what date this blog post was from, but it was very recent. It was somewhere before April 2nd. So let me switch down to my crop space and I'll show you the idea that we're going to work on. We're also going to be using one of the newer punches called Floral Peaks, one of the newer border punches. So I'm excited to try this, and I haven't actually created the idea yet. So I'm going to show you the card that's in the blog post, and then we're just going to create from there. So here we go. Let me switch. Okay, so this is the card that we're going to create. I'm pretty sure they used Painted Harvest, which is a newer collection. And again, this is a card. This is what the sketch looked like. And we're going to create this into a scrapbook page. So I'm just going to kind of be guesstimating at the measurements, but I think it's going to turn out pretty well. Obviously, more of our space is going to be empty in the middle for us to put pictures. And if you all know anything about me, you know that I love having at least 4 pictures per page. So I have no idea if that's going to work out this way, but that's what we're going to shoot for. Here again is some of the embellishments that come in the Vivid Melodies collection. And like I said just a minute ago, I'm not sure how well that will show up, but this is the Jazzberry color of the Vivid Melodies. I really should have opened this package and put it out on a display board for you to see each of the embellishments, but it's just a really cool collection. This is some of the other embellishments that come with it, and these are like, oh, what is the material called? That, you know, they're like coated, enamel. The enamel stickers that go with the collection. So there's several embellishment packs that come with this collection, and it just makes it really versatile. This is my fave part. My fave part is scrapbooking. I don't know about you guys, but the papers that I've chosen to use are these. Now these top 3 are from the Jazzberry Vivid Melodies. This one is just kind of it's kind of a light pink that has a darker pink dot. The back of it is kind of just a grid design. And I don't think that pink color is showing up very well, but that's what the back of that looks like. This one is really busy, so you wouldn't use it as your main focal point on a scrapbook page because your pictures would just get lost. But it's really pretty daisies and such, and so is that plaid as a very vivid reds and pinks, and that lighter color, it's not really a yellow, and then that's not really a white, but and then this floral, it's almost like pansies or daisies maybe all over the pattern with some green. The back of it is like a reddish color with some pinkish looking dots. And then these 4 solid colors I pulled out to see what I would want. I pulled out white shimmer, parakeet shimmer, cranberry, and goldenrod is now retired. At least I'm almost positive that it is, but I still had some. So these are the colors and the patterns and prints that I'm going to pull from. So my very background, which is in this picture, is this, lighter pink color. My background is going to be this large floral. So I'm not going to cut this at all. I'm just going to leave it as is, and it's going to be my background. And we're going to see how this turns out. Hopefully it's not going to turn out too busy. I'm going to use this Floral Peaks is the name of this punch. I'm pretty sure that it is still on our website. At least I hope it is, because it just came out in March. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut 2 borders out of Parakeet. That's going to be, I keep touching my screen and I keep messing it up. Oh no. Let me see if I can fix that so that I have a sample to work from. Okay, so the white peak is what's going to be our green parakeet border. So I'm going to start by opening up my punch. Let me get some more table space here because I had everything piled up on top to start this. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I like having a piece of cardboard so that I can just dump my trash out. So I'm going to make 2 borders from Parakeet Shimmer. And then after I do this, we will go on to the next steps. And remember, a lot of our punches have these, well, all of the trays have the shape printed in blue on the punch tray. And sometimes when it tears away from the paper, they'll have these little arrows for you to line things up with as well. When I finish this punch, I'll try to show it to you up close. But I'm just going to keep sliding over until I go the whole length of the paper. And with these border punches, it should take about 5 punches to get the full length of my paper. I have just a tiny piece that is still hanging on, which maybe this paper may have been slightly wider than 12 inches. I'm not sure. And then obviously this punch stays on the paper. But let me find my pointer here and get in the light the right way. Oops. There it is. Y'all see that arrow right there? So I line up my design with the blue design here, but then I also have this little arrow on my piece that's left at the top. See the arrow? So this arrow helps me keep everything lined up evenly. Obviously this punch is, I'm gonna have to cut this off, and to conserve paper, I am going to cut it off and I'm going to adhere it to the page separately. And to save time right now, I'm just going to go ahead and punch the other side rather than pulling out my trimmer and cutting that off. I'm just going to go ahead and cut from this side, and then I'll cut both of them off of my paper at the same time. If you want, if you're not worried about saving paper or saving weight, you could just leave all of this attached and layer it all together. You could especially do that for a card. However, with a scrapbook page, our books get so heavy anyway when you're adding embellishments and paraphernalia, that's not the right word. Memorabilia, that's the word I'm looking for. When you're adding memorabilia and lots of photos to your books get kind of heavy anyway. So I don't want that extra weight in my book. So that's another reason not only to conserve paper, but also to conserve the weight to prevent your book from being even heavier than it needs to be. So I'm going to trim this off real quick too, because that was an extra little doodad there. And then let me switch to my microtip scissors to get this one, because this was also a little doodad that was attached on that first punch. Okay, now I'm going to wipe off my punch, shake it out. I'm going to dump my cardboard into the trash can. Pull out my 12-inch trimmer. I do have my straight blade in here. With this card, you would not be able to tell if you used a decorative blade according to the design, but of course you can do that if you want to. I'm going to have the peak on my punch come to the 1 1/8 mark, and that way I'll have a little extra lip or solid place that I can put my tape runner. So I'm going to cut both of those with the peaks at the 1 1/8 on my trimmer. This trimmer has so many great features and all of the measurements. That is just one of the many features that it has. Okay, so my next layer in my piece is going to be this green layer in the picture. So the big flower is the background. The Parakeet shimmer that I just trimmed is going to be this layer, and what's green in here, and it goes vertically. I'm going to cut this paper, the small flower paper. I'm going to cut so that it is, I'm trying to get my card to show back up. Okay, so lesson learned is it's hard to have just your picture printed on, just your picture up on the iPad. You really need to have it printed, because every time you try to touch something, it messes up. So it looks to me like the area is about 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut this 12-inch piece of paper. I'm going to cut 3 inches off of the side of it. I could cut 1.5 inches off of each side, but since this paper is not directional and that kind of thing, I don't think it really matters if I cut it off of both sides. So instead of cutting it off of both sides, I'm just going to line it up at the 3-inch mark and cut 3 inches off of it here. And then I will have a 3-inch piece that I can play with in another way. So before I go any further, let me bring my my background over, my background piece of paper over, and I'll show you on my 13-inch mat where we're going here. So it's going to be like this and this. I'm just going to kind of center that on there, and I'm going to have this border kind of tucked in, or at least at the edge of it on each side. And we're going to go ahead and adhere this because there's no reason not to. So see how pretty that's going to be? I took a very busy paper and I can still see those big flowers in the background. This one's pretty busy too, but since it's so much smaller, it's not that big of a deal. So I just noticed my mat is upside down, which it doesn't matter except for that my numbers were also upside down. So that's why I flipped it around here. this adhesive on. I'm a huge fan of repositionable adhesive, and it allows me to move things if I need to. And when I'm putting big borders or pieces of paper down, I almost always get something crooked and need to fix it later. So that's another reason I'm a big fan. Okay, so let me grab my silicone mat. Now you could use parchment paper, you can use so many different things will help you keep from getting sticky all over the place when you've got holes like this. But we did briefly have this silicone mat that is a huge help in instances like this. Now, I'm not taking the time to tuck this this edge of this 12-inch border under that paper. I'm just kissing it completely up against the edge. Let me hold it up close too. You can, instead of putting your paper down first, you could put the border down first, go in a little bit and cover it. But I wasn't worried about that. So I just went ahead and kissed it up against the edge here. And let me find my other border underneath. And I'm going to put it down as well. I think, and I hope I'm right, that this is going to make a really pretty scrapbook page. Nice and springy. Okay, so now I have both borders, my center, and my background. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to cut a piece of paper to go horizontally on this layout. So it'll be this yellow section. And I am going to use, I think I'm going to use this cranberry piece of paper. It's you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it in the background, but it's still gonna have another layer on top of it. So it's not gonna be so in your face cranberry. But what I'm gonna do, none of these measurements were given to me, especially not for a scrapbook page. So I'm kind of guessing here, and I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut 2 inches off of this, and then I'm going to punch it with my floral peak punch. So we're going to start with a 10-inch by 12-inch. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't have to start with a 10 by 12. I am going to start with a 10 by, let me see what the size of this was. I've already forgotten. We're going to start with a 10 by 9. So I just cut it at 10 inches. I cut 10 inches off. So that's a 10 by 12. And then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to cut 3 inches off. And then this is what I'm going to use the floral peak punch on. So now I have my horizontal background piece. Let me grab my trash catcher cardboard, and I'm going to put it in here. Now, probably since I'm making a card, I should take the time to figure out how to better center this on the paper, since it's not a full 12 inches. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to see how the end looks when I'm finished. And if I need to readjust and change it, I will do that in a minute. hopefully this punch is not making the table and the video shake too much. Oh, look, that still came out almost at the end. Let me grab my microtip scissors and cut those little pieces that are hanging on. Well, that one didn't want to go away. Okay, throw that in the trash. And dump this before I move on. And I'm just going to turn it to the bottom. I've got some Parakeet shimmer that's sticking from earlier. I see some on my mat, on my cardboard, and then also it was just now stuck to that cranberry piece of paper. This floral, oops, I went too far. This floral peak punch, it really is pretty and versatile. Like, I think you could use it for many, many things. Last one here. And then again, I have the little piece to trim off. No big deal. We're going to be using this one more time with one more layer. So we try to get all this trash out of our way. It probably doesn't matter, and I'm probably just taking up time in doing so. And y'all know I love saving punch poop. Okay, so this layer will go on my page. Oh, you know what? It's too wide. I didn't do that math very well. So I could either layer it like this, or I can cut some off of each side. Actually, I could probably cut an inch off of one side, like right through there, so that it won't go over this this green border. And I'm going to just go ahead and do that. I'm going to see how much of it will be cut off. Yeah, it is. It's right at 1 inch. If I measure it that way, yeah, it's an inch either way you look at it. So I'm just going to cut 1 inch off the side, and oh, that'll be cool. I might can use that like on a bookmark or something, or a different border. So put that in my pile, and then let's see how well that's going to turn out. Yeah, that's going to turn out well. So now let's see how big my next layer, since I did that one wrong. That's it. Oh, I was like, why did that turn out too big? Well, it's because I punched the wrong edge. I punched the, I should have been punching the 9-inch edge since it was going horizontally, and I punched the 10-inch edge. So now this border down here and this border up here are a little bit larger than I intended for them to be, but that's okay. So I was right in saying it needed to be 9 inches wide. Okay, and now this one is a little over 8. I can't figure that out fast enough. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut my next layer. I'll show you what it's going to be. It's going to be this top. In this picture, it's this kind of raspberry color, and it's got the embellishment on it, but this is what it's going to be. And I'm going to use this polka dot paper that goes with the Jazzberry collection. So my other piece was 10 inches by 9 inches. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. I'm going to cut 2 inches off the side, just like I did with the other one. And then what I did is I cut 3 inches off of this way. And when I did that, I should have punched along this edge, but I punched along that edge. So I just now cut 3 inches. And see, that would be, you know, too big, obviously. It'll be too big going that way. Okay, so I should have done more. I should have done more figuring before I cut it, because now I'm going to have 2 strips of paper instead of just 1. So I'm going to cut 2 more inches off that is the 10-inch side, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to cut 2 more inches, so I'm going to make it an 8-inch by 9-inch piece. Let me make sure that's the 9. Nope, that's the 10. What? How in the world? That's 10. And this is 9. I've just totally stumped myself. I've got a 10 by 9, and I'm going to make it, let's see, this is the 9-inch, right? Yes. So I'm going to make it 8 by 9. That's the 9-inch. Yeah. I'm going to cut 2 inches off of the 10-inch side. Yes, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to make it 8 inches by 9 inches. And then I'm going to use my, so it's the right width, but now I'm going to use the punch on the top and the bottom. Sorry, y'all. Sometimes I am much more visual, and sometimes it takes me a minute to get what I'm trying to do. So this is my 9-inch. This is where I'm going to punch. And I'm going to punch at the top and the bottom. And I sure hope and pray that there's enough of that underneath the layer showing, since I did get confused. And this is what happens when you film a YouTube without trying it first. So no worries. We will just move right along and see how this works out. Let me wipe that off, and I'm just going to slide that to the side. And we're going to punch the other end of my paper to layer. From what I have already seen, I think that this design is not going to allow for a ton of photos the way I would normally prefer, but I still think that it's a really pretty card that I'm turning into a really pretty scrapbook page fairly fast, and without using, I know that we're using a lot of layers, but we're still not using a ton of paper because we're only using portions of the papers. And so from that aspect, I'm like, okay, let's move on, and just don't worry about that it's only going to hold maybe 2 or 3 photos, because sometimes you've got, you know, just 2 or 3 photos from an event anyway, or sometimes you have a really special 1 or 2 photos that you need to showcase from an event too. So this is going to be neat. Okay, so under normal circumstances, I would be disappointed that that these are so close together, but really the card they're pretty close together there too. So because that yellow layer is like I can see the yellow layer coming through the raspberry layer on the blog. So that's kind of how this looks. So I'm just going to go with it. And otherwise I could have cut this down instead of it being 9 inches by 8 inches before I punched it, I could have done it 9 inches by either 7.5 or maybe even 7. But let me adhere these 2 layers. And since this is cardstock and front and back doesn't matter, I'm just going to go ahead and put some adhesive on here. And for the most part, I'm going to center it top to bottom. And I might not be completely exact in where it lands, but it'll be close enough. And then I'll center this one over it, again, top to bottom. And it does matter front and back on this paper, but it doesn't matter if some of this adhesive gets on that under layer because it is my actual scrapbook page that most of it is going to be covered any minute now by this. So here is this layer, and I'm just trying to center this polka dot over that cranberry. And for the most part, the peaks are almost completely lined up. They're not perfect on the top or the bottom, but they're almost perfect so that it will really be okay. And I'm going to hold this close to the camera. I think this is turning out really, really pretty. And with a 9-inch mat here, 9-inch wide, I have some white that I can turn into the photo mats. I also have out some goldenrod. That goldenrod is really going to pick up the yellow from that background flower. And let's see, I don't have enough left over of the previous papers that we used to make photo mats out of those. So I'm going to just take a plunge and I'm going to make it out of this yellow, but 9 inches. So if I did 4.5, I would get 2. I'm going to go ahead and cut the at 4.5. And I'm going to make them 4.5 by 6.5, which would hold 2 4x6 photos with a 1/2-inch mat. Or you'll at least know that you could make 3 smaller pictures work side by side. And these 2 are going to butt right up against each other on this mat that is already created by the design. So they would go like that, unless I wanted to give just a little bit of space and go out onto that green. So I can do that as well. And there we go. So hey, this worked out. It's not, it might not be 100% ideal for the mistake that I made. And then the fact that I'm only putting 2 photos on here, and it's covering up some of the lacy look from the floral peak design on that polka dot paper. I do like it cheating out a little bit over the green, especially since that edge of that green was wider and not tucked in. I need to raise this one just a tiny bit. Again, that's why I love using repositionable adhesive. And then I'm not getting it straight because I keep moving it right when I'm trying to stick it. So there we go. A fairly quick page. Of course, for all I know, this video is 45 minutes, but no, seriously, I don't think it is. But there is the page, created for 2 pictures, but it was actually a card to begin with. And of course, I can always get my embellishments and come in here and pop up some more flowers and things. Most of you that follow me know that I'm not one to do many many embellishments until I get some photos put on the layout. So I will save that for later. And I hope that you all have a great evening. And if you need a Creative Memories advisor, I'm happy to help you. You can reach me several different ways. I'm Christy Parker Boland on Facebook, and my YouTube channel is Christy's Cropping and Creating. My website is creativememories.com/user/Christy Boland. Christy is Kristi. Boland is BOLIN. And I'm always looking for more people that want to have scrapbooking as a hobby and make a little bit of money too. So there's a great program for you to be a Creative Memories advisor as well. And I'm just happy to help you and happy to teach you new things. And as you can see, you don't have to be perfect at any of this because it just is what it is. And y'all can laugh right along with me. All right, y'all take care. Have a good evening, and I will see you next week. I try to post videos every Thursday. So hope to see you again. Please give it a thumbs up so that it becomes more visible to more people that enjoy scrapbooking or card making. And watch out for more videos and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Bye.